Okay, let's settle in for more debates, shall we? Why not? How could we take this to the next level, right? We would have to start setting up big debates against big people, I think. But, they probably don't want to, right? Could we debate some famous people? I don't know. Like, they're probably not interested, or maybe they subconsciously know that they can't debate against it, right? And you actually see that happen a lot, right? It's not something I'm making up. People do subconsciously know that they can't debate against it. And you can see proof of this in every debate. Every time somebody dodges a question, that's because they realize they can't answer it and that it completely defeats their position. Hello, I'm glad you're a big fan. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the support, everyone. James, join other people's lives. I do that sometimes. I haven't done it for a while. You should start a political party. I actually looked into that today. And yes, you can start a political party in the UK for extinction. We can do it. It will cost at least £150 to set up a political party in the UK. And you also need, I think, at least 2 people to do it as well. So, yeah, if anyone in the UK wants to set up a political party, the pro-extinction government, contact me and we can do it. We can get that started. Hey, I just found your TikTok. Why did you block me on Instagram? I don't know. I don't really use Instagram, so who knows? We're all going, bro. Yeah, but the sooner the better. Instead of total extinction, only a few groups of certain people should be extinct. No, there's literally no way to leave any life forms on the planet safe from suffering, right? It's impossible to make anything safe. So you're saying that we should get rid of a certain race of people because you're a racist, but even your, superior race or whatever is still going to suffer, right? And they would be better off safe from that suffering. James, do you suffer? Yes, yeah, we all suffer, I think, right? You tell them. Yeah, somebody's got to tell them. Let me know if you have any questions. Let's hear it in the comments, in the chat. But if you want to come up on stage, push that button, slap that button like you would slap your own mother, and we will get you up and we can talk. All right, we have Dog Hall joining us, which is a beautiful name. Hello, Dog Hall.
Yo, it's been a while. How's it going, man?
Yeah, good. Kind of hot, but good.
You're calling me kind of hot. First of all, thank you. I appreciate that. Not really who I'm looking for right now. But your point is total extinction ends all suffering, and I reiterate my point from 2 weeks ago, which I haven't forgotten, and you haven't forgotten because you're smiling. You know me, man. I'm always here. If you end everyone else's suffering, I suffer because I get off on that. I'm a freak with it. I'm a demon, perhaps. Extraterrestrial, some might say.
Right. But nobody should suffer just so that somebody else can have fun. Right?
No, I'm not having fun. This isn't fun for me. This is what I need.
Okay. Nobody should suffer just so that somebody else can benefit when they don't need to.
I don't know. Did I ask ChatGPT and he says you're wrong? Like, oh God, like ChatGPT, Gemini also?
So you can't think for yourself then?
No, I can because I put my pants on this morning and it was like the proper way around. So I can't think independently.
But you're using AI to think instead of using your brain.
No, it's more like an extension of myself. I think like I'm probably smarter than it, so I just give it the menial tasks I don't want to do.
So were you able to, did it actually help?
I generated some cat photos. I got distracted.
Okay, Dog Hole, thank you. Clearly you are not able to debate, so we're going to move on to the next person. We have Kreelin coming up next. And if you think you can debate against why extinction is the right thing, join the queue and let's hear your argument as well. Kreelin, hello, how you doing?
Hello, brother James. Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
I was on your live, yeah.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm just a good supporter of you, James. I love the movement. I love everything you're doing, thinking about us. Thank you, James. May we keep on going. Pro-extinction all the way. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Kreelin, thank you for coming up. Thank you for supporting the movement. and the end of all suffering, right? That's what it's about. It's not just another movement. It's the movement against all types of suffering, right? It's the only movement that says we care about everyone. We won't stop until nobody is suffering. Nobody is being tortured, right? We won't stop at, white people. We won't stop at humans. We won't stop at, men or women, whatever. We will help everyone. We won't stop at good people. We will help bad people. We will help everyone, basically. So it's a benevolent movement using, working its way up to provide as much safety, to do anything necessary, right, to help them. So this is the movement against suffering, the movement to end all suffering, all types of suffering, right? We're not going to say, oh, well, we shouldn't allow humans to make you suffer, but, if a disease makes you suffer, then that's okay. We shouldn't say, well, humans shouldn't suffer, but animals can suffer. That's okay. No suffering is acceptable, right? Unless you do total extinction, then you're guaranteeing that innocent people and animals will continue to be fed into the meat grinder, right? The meat grinder of life. They will be tortured. They will be trapped into a life of pure hell, just so that some people sat on top of the meat grinder can have fun, right? Oh, look at all the meat coming out. Let's enjoy it, right? Literally, I'm saying that figuratively, but that's actually literally what's happening, right? We are putting animals into a literal meat grinder, torturing them just so that we can have fun. It's crazy, right? But we should do that with all life. We should prevent all suffering, not just farmed animals, not wild animals, not just humans. Nobody should have to suffer. And so, what is the solution? It's the most vast and thorough extinction possible, the best extinction, the most fair extinction, right? It covers as much life and it's as vast as possible and as thorough as possible, meaning that we don't just, rush it, we don't do half measures. We push the limits of science and technology to do the best extinction possible, and we keep pushing those limits. We keep making it more and more advanced until we say, right, there's nothing more that we can do. We have made the world as safe as possible. And so, when you consider that, we're preventing billions of years of more suffering, you do have to be as thorough as possible. You do have to do the best extinction possible, right? There's no point rushing it to save 100 years of human suffering when, 1,000 years more and, making it better can prevent billions of years of suffering, right? So we have to do the best extinction possible. Don't rush it. Make it as vast and thorough as possible, right? So the best extinction possible. That's the only fair thing to do. If you're against doing that, then you're saying, well, that's going to make me suffer and I don't care about other people, right? So people are afraid of a fair system, right? You might suffer because of the fairness of the system, but ultimately it will be the right thing, it will be fair, and it might be bad for you, but it will be necessary for others. So a fair system means that you are subject to whatever it needs, right? You might get tortured, you might suffer terribly, but ultimately, if it is fair, then it is the right thing to do. So we need a universal system, a fair system for all, and that means working towards the best extinction, the most thorough prevention of life existing. That's the most fair thing to do. Because look, if we just rush the extinction and we, get rid of humans, for example, then animals will evolve back into humans and animals will suffer as well. So, you haven't really done a very good job. If you only get rid of humans and animals but don't prevent life coming back, then it will just come back and suffer again, and you haven't done a very good job. And likewise, if you don't try to do alien extinction as well, then you're discriminating against them. You're saying, well, we're not going to help you because we benefit from not helping you. But again, you have to do it in a fair way for all, right? And that means considering all of time, all of space, basically. You have to look at the whole picture, the bigger picture, the maximum safety that we can provide, where we say, I don't care what species you are, human, animal, whatever, we're just going to make the world as safe as possible for everyone, right? So it's the least discriminatory movement. It's a movement that is against discrimination, whereas most humans, over 99% of humans, discriminate massively, right? All day, every day, they just discriminate non-stop. No, don't help animals, don't help aliens, don't enforce safety with extinction. It's all about just finding a way to not care about others, basically, when we should do the opposite. We should find as many ways as we can to care about all life, right? So don't just care about one person, don't just care about yourself, don't care about your family, care about everyone, right? So people struggle to do this, right? They struggle with the idea of caring about everyone. But that is essentially what extinctionists are doing. And you could call it like pluribus if you want, but essentially, yeah, we care about everyone. It's not that we're making the effort or we've decided to do that. We were born genetically with enough empathy to care about everyone, essentially. And so that's what we should do. We should care about the whole world, the entire world, every animal, every person, potential life in the future, potential life on other planets. We should care about them, right? And the only reason why you wouldn't is to be selfish, essentially, right? So instead of saying, right, let's do as much as we can to be good, to help others, people are saying, let's do as little as we can to be good and to help others. Let's be selfish, let's be lazy, let's be cruel, let's be evil. So people are basically seeing that, well, they're seeing it in this horrible way where, oh, well, being selfish is good for me, so that's what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, most people are not seeing it the correct way, which is, well, let's be as selfless as possible, let's be as good as possible, let's help the world as much as possible. It's more important than just helping myself. So that's it. Extinctionists are very different compared to most humans on the, humanity 1.0, right? We are essentially humanity 2.0, where we can actually think of bigger things, we can care about more people and do the right thing. Hello, how you doing? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Do you have any questions?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you here and find out what you're thinking. So I'm trying to wrap my head around your actual message. So what are you
Extinction ends all
proposing?
suffering, and it's the only right thing to do.
Okay, I'm on board with that. Uh, I guess I don't understand when someone like you says that. You're proposing extinction starting at what point? Starting with what measures?
Yeah, so we do peaceful activism, we grow the movement until we can take over the world, which needs to happen anyway, so that we can start running it ethically, right? It's being run by criminals right now, so the world needs to be run
Okay,
ethically.
agreed. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with those points.
A lot of people
So
would
your
actually.
measure, your first measure that you're suggesting is activism.
Yeah.
So activism is nothing too earth-shattering or new, unfortunately, for your
Well,
cause.
it is the most effective thing that we can do, though.
Activists have been saying that for a long time, and
And
it
they've been
doesn't seem to
successful.
bring about much change.
Well, then you're ignorant.
Well, no, hold on. I'm trying to have a conversation here. So
Activism
why
is very
does
successful. It makes a lot of change.
it does?
Yeah.
Examples?
You don't think activism has ever done anything, right? Women's rights, civil rights, banning slavery.
You're here talking about all this massive
All right,
suffering.
we get it. So
You think
you're very uneducated. You don't understand that activism is actually useful, and yeah, it makes sense that somebody who doesn't understand the way the world works would basically be speaking out against activism, right? He's literally saying, don't help the world, don't try and help other people, don't do activism, just do nothing, right? Which is completely insane. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, so I have one question.
Okay.
You said earlier that aliens suffer too, right?
Yeah.
So how do you know that aliens suffer?
So our science has basically demonstrated that there will be life in the universe, and it will be very similar to life on Earth, essentially, where suffering is an evolutionary advantage. So as life gets more advanced, it gets more and more capable of suffering, essentially.
Okay, so what you're saying is basically if all the humans now died and everything that lives dies because of suffering, so it ends suffering, how would the people die without suffering?
Well, they're going to die with suffering anyway. So euthanasia is a much nicer way to go, right? Putting people to sleep. It provides safety from a bad life and from a bad death as well.
Yeah, so, and then would we all die at the same time, or who would die first? Because
no, it doesn't have to be all at the same time. But we would do animals first anyway. So it's going to be bit by bit. It's going to be organized, structured. It's not going to be some big event or anything like that.
Yeah, of course. So like obviously everyone dies because everyone needs to die to end suffering, but then obviously they die from suffering because it's harder to make everyone not die from suffering. But then how do you know that they wouldn't suffer anyway? Because obviously
they would. That's the point.
Exactly. So how are we ending suffering by suffering?
So you think that? So it's confusing to you whether or not billions of years of more suffering is equal to or greater than, current day suffering.
Yes.
So you think it's actually possible to cause more suffering by putting people to sleep than allowing billions of years of more suffering?
Okay, no, but if we're ending billions of suffering,
do you see how that just doesn't make any sense?
Yeah, but if we're ending billions of years of suffering by suffering, how does that then equate to the
Well, there'd be no more suffering ever again.
Okay, so say people in the past who've worked for rights, for women's rights, for everything, Equality Act, everything like that, how do you think they would feel if they know that everyone was suffering and they're kind of they're suffering themselves, like protesting, getting killed?
Well, they're not alive anymore, right? They're not alive anymore, so their opinion doesn't matter.
But then they fought for thousands of years for our rights, so why are we then ending that?
So the majority of the population of wild animals being tortured by nature, right, eaten alive by each other and stuff. So how does someone advocating for women's rights mean that we should allow the majority of the population to be tortured to death?
Okay, so we're not actually tortured to death, though, are we? Because
yeah, but most animals get eaten alive as babies, which is effectively being tortured to death.
Okay, yes, and all of the animals that don't, say, do you know?
But over 99% of them get eaten alive as babies.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So it's hard to describe. How?
Well, it sounds like essentially your argument has just collapsed into nothingness. So it's understandable that you're a bit unsure of what to say, what to do, because your argument has just been completely destroyed, essentially.
Yes, because I'm trying to ask you questions about how you think that suffering is obviously good to end suffering.
Well, you sound very confused, right? You seem to think that putting people to sleep causes more suffering than billions of years of extreme suffering.
And if you can't put everyone to sleep, then how are the other people going to die?
It doesn't matter, right? Even if it's a horrible death, they're going to have one anyway, right?
Yes, you are going to have one anyway, but would you not rather people die naturally and die of old age than being killed?
But dying naturally of old age doesn't happen to everyone, right? So you're saying, let's let the privileged ones have a nice death and then just forget everyone else, let them get tortured.
Okay, no. Because
yes, that's what you just said, basically.
No. I said...
Yeah, you said, what about the privileged ones and their nice death? We should allow them to have that, even if it means everyone else gets tortured to death.
No.
So you really don't see how that is what you just said?
Okay, if you think that's great. But if people die because of suffering, and then so you say
You don't die because of suffering.
you say, quote, privileged people die of old age and not suffering, and then the rest of the people die from suffering.
Okay, right, Izzy, I think, we're just not on the same level, right? I'm up here, you're kind of down here in terms of intelligence. We're just not going to have a good conversation here. Saya, hi, how you doing?
Yes. So my question is, let's say if you have enough activists and those people are radicalized and they are violent and you want peace, you want a peaceful extinction, but they want to destroy and start killing and start wars and they become like the Taliban and other extremists. Well, how will you feel how will you feel knowing that you are the cause of all of this?
I feel fine with it, really. We have to try and do the right thing, and we shouldn't be discouraged from trying to do the right thing.
So are you calling for violence then?
No, we're calling for peaceful activism. You should read our website. It's proextinction.com. Go and read it.
So don't you think that those who are suffering, that are choosing not to commit suicide, they would rather suffer and have a peaceful life than to end it all? What makes you think that you know?
So, for
what's
example,
the best thing for
when a
everyone?
baby is being sexually abused to death, right?
Yes.
Do you really think that the thought process is, wow, this isn't that bad. I'm gonna not commit suicide and continue to live? Do you think that a baby being raped, it has the privilege of that thought process that you just said that they do have?
There are a lot of babies that they've been raped,
Really?
but they end
You're
up
saying
dead.
yes. You do think that babies are making the conscious decision not to commit suicide when they're being tortured?
Not the babies, but when they will grow up, they will want
Right.
to
So
make
what if
something
they don't
bad
grow up?
happen.
What if they don't grow up?
But some do. You cannot.
Yeah, but what
make
about
the
those who
decision.
don't? What about those who don't?
Then it's unfortunate. Like these are bad things that can happen, and like we should not only focus on the bad things.
So a
we
baby
should
being
also
tortured
focus
to
on the
death.
positive.
A baby being tortured to death. It's unfortunate, but oh well. Whereas a happy person losing their privilege and their happiness. Oh my God, no! That we can't allow that. Oh, a baby just got tortured to death, though. Ha! But no, someone's going to lose their happiness. So that's the way you think, right?
So in your mind, let's say if you have 10 children and one child is disabled or has
So
autism,
you just
will you?
look. People just ignore every single question I ask them. Right? It's really frustrating. It's like, so what do you think about this? And they'll just be like, yeah. Anyway, so, and it's like, no, you're done. You're out of here then, right? Yes, James rage banned again. But again, if you've just ignored everything I've said for the last 5 minutes and just completely just weren't even listening, yeah, I'm gonna kick you out. Of course I am. Hello, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I have one question. I will agree. I am agreeing with you that suffering is this is the bad thing to happen to the human being. But there is another solution for that. It
What's
is
that?
not extinction.
Okay, what's the
It is
solution?
eternal life. Eternal life is the best solution.
And how does that prevent suffering?
Let me ask you a question.
No. I've just asked you a question. So how does eternal life prevent suffering?
If you don't die,
So
you
let
don't
me
need
get it.
anything.
Let me get this straight.
There is no
your
essential
entire
thing.
position has just collapsed, right? Your entire position has just collapsed into nothingness.
No, it doesn't collapse. It doesn't collapse.
You can't even answer the question. You can't even answer the question. It's like
Hear me out,
the
please.
most basic
My
question.
language is not English. Let me speak.
Okay, baby, thank you for coming up. But there is no solution for suffering other than extinction. And immortality doesn't make you safe from suffering. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so I'm just like really I'm sorry. First of all, English is not my first language, so I hope you bear with me, okay? So like I agree with what you're saying, and I'm very aligned with what you're saying, but it's like a bit unrealistic. That I mean, yes, I get your campaign and stuff, but like the higher percentile of people on Earth would not certainly agree with what you're saying. So I'm just like, my question is, how are you planning to
Yeah,
spread
it's
your
going to be
idea?
difficult. So we are growing the movement with videos and activism, but we're also genetically growing the movement as well. Our activists will be reproducing, and we will also be donating sperm so that we can have thousands of children. Whereas, so that some of them will grow up to become activists, right? Because they'll genetically have our empathy and our rationality, which is what you need to become an activist for extinction.
Okay, got it.
And look, it could take thousands of years, it could take millions of years to overthrow the corrupt society that we have, where they're fine with torturing animals and exploiting them, and the same with humans. So yeah, we need to overthrow the world anyway. It's being run by criminals. It needs to be run ethically, in a fair way, right? It's being run by Donald Trump, by selfish people, by people that eat animals and just don't care about it at all. So yeah, we need to run the world ethically. That's got to happen anyway.
Yeah, I get it.
And
because
then we start doing extinction.
yeah, because it doesn't matter if it takes like 100 years or 1,000, because like the universe, like who knows how much this can last and how much other species are there. So I'm really aligned with what you're saying. Like, you're a great man.
Great, thank you. You should join our Discord and our WhatsApp group. Read the website, read the FAQ, the manifesto, proextinction.com, or you can check out the links on my profile on TikTok. I've got the link to the website, the Discord, and there's also the link to the WhatsApp group. So yeah, join us, join the movement, become an activist, start doing peaceful activism, make videos, grow the movement by doing online activism or in the street. We have lots of people going into the street and doing activism, literally calling for total extinction in the streets. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I just wanted to ask, what made you start this movement?
I didn't. It was started by somebody else, and I joined it. And when I was told about the movement, I joined immediately. I said, "End all suffering." Great. How can I help?
No, nothing. I just wanted to know that because I agree with you and I support the movement. And I completely agree with you. It's too much. I don't understand why people. Have you ever watched a movie called Idiocracy on?
Yes, great film.
You have. I've watched it twice.
I love
love
it.
that movie,
I love it.
and it's funny and everything, but it really
It's shockingly true.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody should watch Idiocracy, the film. Okay, if you haven't seen the movie Idiocracy, you absolutely have to see it. It literally predicts the future of humanity perfectly.
Do you agree? I think in your movement, do you agree that there should be some sort of procedure in place to vet people before they're allowed to have children?
No. So right now, the more children, the better, basically. And the thing is, if you make it so that only intelligent people can have children, then the population will just collapse, right? And also, even the unintelligent people, they can have mutations where they become intelligent as well. So actually, just the more people, the better, essentially.
Okay, so now I'm confused because I was under the impression that your movement was to completely extinct humanity.
It's
So
not just about humanity. So that would be discrimination against other life. So the only fair way to do extinction is to do the most vast and thorough extinction possible, right? So that it provides as much safety to as much of the world as possible, regardless of your species, your location.
so also your movement isn't to completely end human life.
That's included. But the thing is, antinatalism is a self-defeating ideology anyway, right? If you do antinatalism, then you're helping no one, right? You're helping a child which never existed, which you were never going to have anyway. But it doesn't help anybody else's child, doesn't help animals, doesn't help anything really. So the only thing to do is the most vast and thorough extinction possible. That's the only fair way to do an extinction, right? So if you only did humans, that would be unfair to animals, right? They would suffer terribly. And if we only did Earth, then that would be unfair to aliens. And, it may be as simple as sending out AI that can, help the aliens for billions of more years. So there's no reason not to do that, right? It'd be very selfish and short-sighted. So yeah, we have to start thinking about the best extinction possible, the most fair extinction possible, the most vast and thorough extinction possible, essentially.
Oh, okay. So which is
Well, it has to be scientifically determined. So if we run the world, what we would do is we would start by doing animal extinction. We would also start by researching the most vast and thorough extinction possible, which means that we would have to progress and advance technology and science to its limits, to the maximum, in order to make the world as safe as possible, right? As much of the world as safe as possible, with the most vast and thorough extinction possible. So potentially we could do the entire universe, right? But we'll never know that unless we check the science first, right? If we don't do the science and explore what is possible, then we'll never be able to help them, right? Even if we could. So the only fair thing to do is to push the limits of what is possible and to do the best extinction possible, right? The worst extinction possible would be to just not have a kid, right? But that's the worst one possible. It doesn't help animals, doesn't help anyone else's child. So the best extinction possible is the most vast and thorough, right? It helps as much life as possible and as thoroughly as possible as well. So we have to determine that with science. It could be that, the most vast and thorough extinction can only be carried out 1,000 years from now or 10,000 years from now, that it relies on future science, future technology. But if we have to do that to make a better extinction, then 10,000 years of human suffering is nothing compared to preventing billions of years of animal suffering.
so. Can I ask you this? Are you pro-abortion?
We are relatively pro-abortion, yeah.
Okay.
But abortion is not a way to achieve extinction.
So your best method would be to first understand the best way to.
Well, we have to make sure that every last animal is extinct, right? So we have to be thorough. And we also have to make sure that life doesn't evolve back and suffer again. So we have to be preventative. We have to be thorough. It's not just about removing life. It's about making sure life never comes back again. So, there's no point just removing it and then allowing, all of the possibility of life coming back and then just suffering for billions of more years, right? So it makes more sense to spend a little bit of time as humans with our privilege to prevent billions of more years of suffering, right? That's the only fair thing to do.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, thank you. So yeah, I didn't come up with the movement, and I didn't even come up with the most vast and thorough extinction possible. That was all Steve. Steve from India, he started it all 4 years ago. But for me, the pinnacle of the movement, right? The sort of the best part about it is the most vast and thorough extinction possible, right? Because it means the best extinction, right? So imagine if I was here advocating for a rushed and terrible, discriminatory, half-baked, half-done extinction, right? That would be just terrible, right? It wouldn't be a very good solution. It wouldn't be very fair, wouldn't be very thorough. So yeah, the only right thing to do with prevention of life and safety from life existing is to do the best thing that we can to provide as much safety for as much of the world as possible. So the most vast and thorough extinction possible. Again, if you rush it, let's say you do human extinction, animals will suffer terribly for billions of years. They might just evolve back into humans and start suffering again anyway. And you're guaranteeing that we didn't help any of the aliens that suffer as well, or might suffer. So that would be the worst extinction possible. The best extinction possible has to be determined. It has to be scientifically determined, right? Look, we know that we can do animal extinction on Earth. We know that human extinction is quite possible as well, okay? Might be difficult, but it's not physically impossible. So we know that total extinction on Earth is already quite doable, quite possible. But, is universe-wide extinction possible? And also, again, if we can just leave that job to AI and robots, right, and replace humanity, get rid of humanity, then the robots and the AI can continue to do the science, to progress it and do experiments and to try and work towards a better, more vast, more thorough extinction. So in that sense, ruling out universe-wide extinction just doesn't make sense, right? You're literally trying to make a decision for, an advanced AI in the future, basically. That just doesn't make sense. And yeah, what would you rather do? Have humanity continue for 50 more years in order to send out AI into the universe and allow it to continue doing extinction for billions of years? Or would you not spend 50 years and just do human extinction and guarantee that the universe suffers forever and takes away the only chance of preventing universe-wide suffering? So yeah, we have to work towards the most fair, the most vast and thorough extinction possible. And so if we take over the world, we would start by doing animal extinction. That's easy. We can start doing that. And we would start researching the most vast and thorough extinction possible. Again, hopefully we'll be able to pass it on to AI and robots, and then we can just do human extinction, and they can carry on the mission for us, right? Ideally. If we can't rely on robots, then we'll have to continue until we can, or just indefinitely, essentially. And so, yeah, even if humanity has to continue suffering for 10 million years, that's fine, right? That's acceptable, basically. That is acceptable. Because if it's, humans have the best conditions, the least suffering. And so, yeah, humans suffering for millions of more years, if that's what it takes to prevent billions of years of animal suffering, then yeah, we should be happy with it. And if that helps us to achieve universe-wide extinction or even just galaxy extinction, then we should be happy with it. So we aren't saying that we can definitely do galaxy extinction or universe extinction. We are simply saying that we should push the limits of science to see what is possible, right? We're not saying universe-wide extinction is possible. We're not saying galaxy extinction is possible. We're just saying that it is possible to research the limits of what is possible, okay? So that is the right thing to do. We shouldn't rush it. We shouldn't take chances, take shortcuts, okay? It's much more important to be thorough with extinction instead of rushing it, right? Again, what are you going to gain by rushing it? You might prevent 50 years of human suffering, but you end up allowing billions of years of more suffering, right? So rushing extinction risks billions of years of suffering. So we shouldn't risk it. We should do the best extinction, the most vast and thorough, and again, the most fair, okay? So, for people that don't actually care about the world and don't care about others, they're like, yeah, just, all right, fine, do extinction, just don't take too long with it, right? Just don't make it a bother. But no, it's the opposite, okay? We should work towards the best extinction. We shouldn't be saying, extinction, all right, just get it over with. No, we should say, okay, yeah, let's do the best extinction. Let's provide the most safety possible, right? That's what we mean by the best extinction, the most vast and thorough extinction possible, providing the most safety possible. So no, we shouldn't rush that. We shouldn't rush the safety. Rushing the safety will benefit us, but it won't benefit the billions of years of more victims that suffered because we couldn't be bothered to do the job properly. Okay, so get used to it. Stop thinking, let's rush it. Let's just what's the smallest amount we can do, and to put it off. No, let's think about the best extinction. Let's go full in on it, commit to it, and say yes. Let's work on the most vast and thorough extinction possible. Because again, that is what this all revolves around. That is the only way to make extinction fair. It's the only way to do a universal, non-discriminatory extinction, right? People are saying, yeah, forget the animals, forget the aliens, forget this, forget that. No, include everyone, right? Don't rush the extinction. Take your time with it to get it right. Yeah, it's urgent that we do it, but we have to get it right. And, again, you can choose to prioritize people today, but if that's at the expense of billions of years of victims, then it's wrong. It's not fair. So the only thing to do is to prioritize fairness and to do it in the best way possible, right? There's no point rushing extinction when we're trying to prevent billions of years of suffering, right? Rushing that is the worst way to prevent billions of years of suffering. You're just risking it, right? You're not doing the job properly. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. I'm not bad, not bad. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Okay, so extinction ends all suffering, right? That would mean total extinction, right?
Yeah.
My point is that, as you've said in a lot of videos, enacting extinction on like such a large scale is almost entirely, or it is impossible.
Why?
Science and technology, there's no feasible way, even if you want to
There's nothing impossible. There's nothing impossible about extinctionism, because by definition it is possible, right? So what we're working with is the most vast and thorough extinction possible. So it's just about what is possible, right? You're trying to make claims that we're not making.
Okay, so let's say in the future the most possible form of extinction is the solar system, for example. That's the limits of our technology. That doesn't end all suffering, right?
Yeah, but we should end as much suffering as we can. Does that offend you?
On an astronomical level, that's like really. On an astronomical level, that's like really, really tiny. You're not really.
So instead of preventing that suffering, because you would allow it because it's tiny.
Well, not just that it's tiny, but
so yeah, that is part of the reason. So you would allow all of the child abuse and animal abuse because it's not universe-wide.
Well, even if it's
how does that make any sense?
The solar system, even if you're just doing partial extinction, that doesn't stop the ability for life to re-emerge in the solar system at all. So life can come back. So
we should just allow child abuse.
There's no one's saying allow child abuse. Don't
you are. You're saying
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that your point is impossible.
Let's okay. You're done. So that is what you're saying, right? You said, well, billions of years of suffering on Earth. That's just a tiny little bit of suffering. So allow it. Forget it. Why? That just doesn't make sense, right? A lot of people have the same insanity, right? Where they say, well, if you can't do the entire universe, then there's no point. Well, you go and tell that to all of the children being like abused, right? Why should anyone on Earth have to suffer just because we can't help somebody in the next galaxy? That's just completely insane. His logic is literally, okay, we shouldn't allow child abuse on Earth, but only if we can make sure that people in the next galaxy don't have child abuse as well, right? If we can't help the people in the next galaxy, then we should allow child abuse on Earth. That's the level of like insanity that we're dealing with here, right? That's why I kicked him out. And it's not because he owned me. It's because it's difficult to speak to people that are just that criminally insane, right? And yeah, I would rather listen to myself than their complete bullshit, basically, saying that, yeah, it's just a bit of child abuse, forget it. Like, what is wrong with these people, right? They're completely insane. Okay, let's see who else we got in the queue. Thank you, Ozzy, right? I don't often get a lot of people telling me, James, you're right here, right? Usually it's, wow, that crazy guy just owned James. And I'm like, what? Okay, let's get the next people up onto the stage. Let's get some more debates. So we've got Jade, we've got Ariane, Erdem. Someone's saying, Jade, shut up. No? Okay, I'm going to bring in like 3 people, maybe 4, because usually a lot of people ghost the queue, basically. So let's just accept everyone in the queue. I'm sure at least one of them will come up. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. I have a question. So my first question is, why are you so strongly against the vegan movement, or at least movements that try to have better practices for animals when they're like in centers, for the
Because
meat and all
it's
that?
discriminatory. That's the problem, basically. So the vegans don't care about wild animals, and they actually cause much more wild animal suffering. So if you go vegan, it causes more suffering, basically.
I don't disagree with that, but for example, movements that just want better conditions for the animals. I mean, the animals, they're still being in bad conditions. It might be better than in the wild, but like it's still shitty conditions.
Well, I've never really said we shouldn't improve conditions for farmed animals, so why not, right? But equally, it doesn't end all suffering, right?
Yeah, okay. I have another one. Is the movement a democratic movement, you would say, or not? Because I don't think most people are ever going to be. I mean, I agree with it but I don't think most people are ever going to agree with the movement in any sort of way. I mean, it's just not realistic.
Yeah, we're not expecting 100% agreement. Nothing in the world has ever required that. So, is it democratic? Sort of, a little bit. I mean, it's more like based on rationality, right? We understand that the coherency of the organization is more important than having strict rules that end up in destroying it, basically. So nuance is important, and I think most of the rational people in our movement understand the need for give and take, right? For flexibility. And yeah, we don't have a strict democratic rule or a strict this rule or anything. It's mostly just rationality that's holding it afloat. But that's a good thing. That means maximum nuance. And yeah, basically, it's a good thing. So relying on democracy is a bad thing. Just look what it's done to the world.
No, I agree. I was just wondering.
So it's difficult. It's a difficult question to answer because we do some things democratically in the leadership for the movement, and we do some things undemocratically. It's interesting how it works, but it's a bit like water in the way that it fits to whatever environment it's in. It's nuanced in that sense, right? So we have to be prepared to adapt to the situation.
Okay, and the third question would be, do you think there's an amount of suffering which is acceptable for life? I mean, for example, I would say, like, if you're born really rich in a nice family and all that, then the amount of suffering you'll receive is so small compared to what you gain. That's a life I would feel like is worth living, but being a wild animal isn't.
Yeah, but the problem is that no matter how good the conditions are, it can still go infinitely wrong. So even Elon Musk, right? He could still end up with with brain damage, like Michael Schumacher. Okay, Formula One celebrity. He now has brain damage and chronic pain. So he didn't end up having a good life despite being rich, right? And so no, it doesn't matter how good the conditions are, right? You could be in a simulation where it's guaranteed to be, it's certified to be safe. But as long as there's still unknowns, then it can still go infinitely wrong, right? It could go completely wrong and you could get tortured for millions of years or something. So life should never exist without certainty of safety. And there is no way to provide certainty of safety. So only extinction can provide certainty of safety. Nothing else can.
Yeah, okay. I mean, with your argument though, couldn't you also make the argument if, for example, aliens, we don't manage to kill everyone, and aliens manage to take us back, and then they're sadistic, they want to torture us for millions of years.
Yeah.
If we would stay alive and defend ourselves against that, we would have a fighting chance.
Say again? Can you frame that again?
Okay, so if we achieve total extinction, which I support, but like in, let's say, 10,000 years, but we can't get the aliens, at least we weren't able to, and our AIs aren't advanced for this or whatever, then what doesn't say that sadistic aliens could just get us back, for example, and they would torture us for millions of years or something? I mean, I know it sounds a bit crazy,
Yeah,
but
so the thing
if we
is,
were alive and we could find ways to stop the suffering with AI and all that, and like just have
yeah,
way less suffering and high quality of
so
life, I think that'd
yeah,
be more
so
beneficial.
the problem is we aren't safer by having life, right? We are safer by not existing, and we are also. So a lot of people have made the same suggestion that you have, that there will be less suffering if we do have life, that it's safer to not do extinction. But firstly, you're guaranteeing suffering by having life, whereas with extinction, there's a good chance there'll be no suffering. And secondly, you don't need life to exist to provide that safety. So we can have AI, we can have robots and stuff. They can be providing the same safety that you're saying that we need to stay alive for in order to provide. So we can do that without being alive.
Okay, all right. These are my questions. So
yeah, thank you.
have a
But
good.
it is a good question. What if we did Earth extinction and then some aliens rock up, populate the planet, and just start torturing some animals on it? Yeah, I mean, it could happen, right? It certainly could happen. But the thing is, if we don't do extinction, then that will happen anyway, right? That would definitely happen. So we aren't going to have a higher level of defense for Earth by existing, right? That's what I'm trying to say. The same defense mechanisms and satellites with lasers or whatever, right? We can have all of that to defend Earth without life existing on Earth, right? You can have AI and robots do it. So we're not safer by having life exist. We can have that same level of safety without life, with AI. And if some aliens are going to rock up and start torturing the planet, then yeah, I'd rather there be nobody there to get tortured, essentially. And again, I don't think it makes sense to say that we should stay alive, build up, massive spaceships with lasers and stuff to defend from these aliens that are going to torture us when we're not there. When we could have AI create those spaceships with lasers on, we don't need to be piloting them and suffering, okay? So we can automate all of that stuff away, and the less life, the better, right? Okay, moving on. We've got more people in the queue. Let's see who's next. Mr. Anonymous coming up next. Let's see if they'll load in. Beaming them up with the transporters. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, forgive my accent. I'm from Africa, so kind of accept it that way.
I'm sorry to hear that. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. So what I think generally about life is it is actually full of suffering, and the best way to annihilate this suffering is, according to Schopenhauer, is to not give birth. So the first way we can all, escape from this suffering is antinatalism. That is
No,
not
so
giving birth.
antinatalism doesn't help animals, right?
Yes, for sure. It doesn't.
So antinatalism is not a good solution, right? It's the opposite. It's doing nothing, right? It's literally doing nothing. So it doesn't help any animals. It doesn't help any other children. We have to work towards the most vast and thorough extinction possible. That's the safest thing that we can do, essentially. So antinatalism is the opposite of that. It says, leave human extinction to chance, leave animals to suffer, do nothing, and pretend you've done everything. We should do the opposite. We should work towards actually guaranteeing and enforcing, right? Enforcing safety from suffering, enforcing total extinction in the best way, the biggest way, the most thorough and vast way possible.
Okay, that's right. So what do you propose or suggest would be the right way or the fastest way to achieving this goal for humanity? Because many people would disagree on this topic.
Well, again, we are for non-discriminatory extinction, okay? So that means we're for the fairest extinction possible. And that means working towards the most vast and thorough extinction possible. Because again, we've got billions of years of suffering to prevent, so we should do a proper job and not rush it, essentially. Which means that we need humanity to keep reproducing until we are able to do the most vast and thorough extinction possible. Yeah. So, yeah, the more humans reproducing, the better. It means that we can do a proper extinction. The more humans we have, the sooner we can do animal extinction, prevention of life ever coming back, and then human extinction as well. But if we have only 100 humans on the planet, we won't be able to do animal extinction, we won't be able to prevent life coming back. So the more humans we have, the more advanced our technology and science will be, and the sooner we will be able to do extinction properly. But yeah, sounds like you looks like you've muted yourself. But again, we have billions of years of suffering to prevent, right? So that means that we have to do the job properly. You can't just remove, a few humans and hope for the best. You can't just half do it and hope for the best. That's selfish and it's not fair, right? You're literally taking away from the safety of future life forms by discriminating against them, right? So unfair extinction is discrimination. It's quite literally unethical. It's immoral. So the only fair thing, the only right thing is the fairest extinction possible, right? So extinction is essentially providing safety. So you can either provide safety to your own non-existent child, which does effectively nothing, or you can try to provide safety for as much of the world as possible, right? We can work towards a universal system for the world. And this is what I was talking about earlier. People have got this terrible mentality where they only think about themselves instead of caring about the world, right? So we should care about all life, all potential life, not just yourself, not just your friends and family, not just your species, not just your race. We should care about all life, all animals, all potential life as well, whether that's far away or in the future. So that's what it means to have universal empathy, to be completely non-discriminatory. It means, yeah, we care about life billions of years in the future, trillions of years in the future. We care about life on the other side of the universe. We care about life that, we can't even conceive of yet. We care about potential life and the potential suffering. So you could say it's like benevolence, basically, to be all loving, all caring. And it's not because it's just cool or fun. We just actually do care about life. Are you for real, or is this satire? Yeah, it's for real. Anyway, I do actually have to get going now, guys. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see if we can do some streaming tomorrow. And in the meantime, join us on Discord. Continue the conversation with us there. The link to the Discord is on my profile, and the link to the website. You can read our manifesto, our FAQ. You can join the movement and become an activist. Start doing peaceful activism with us to grow the movement until we have enough people to carry out total extinction. And if you don't like Discord, as someone's saying in the chat, then you can join our WhatsApp group. The link is on the website at the bottom of the page, proextinction.com. All right, thanks everyone. Again, join us next time and continue the conversation on Discord.